Hello and welcome back to the Corgi Town USA podcast. I am Candy Kemp, owner of Corgi Town USA. This is Chuckles in my lap. He is the spokescorg and president of the Corgi Committee. And next to me always
is Catherine Cohen, along with Jigby, the CEO of the.
He's the chair.
Oh, he's the chair. I always forget that. He is the chair of the Corgi Committee.
We don't trust him with decisions. Chucky makes the decisions.
Yeah, we don't trust him with decisions or balls or balloons.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Anything without supervision for sure.
Pretty much.
But we also have Mortimer and Booger in studio with us tonight.
They are so cute.
Maybe Hammer will join us.
Maybe Hammer will decide. It depends on how Hammer is wanting to join us. It is up to Hammer because he is the senior member of the Corgi Committee.
Yeah. Well, Boog's a senior too, but
Boog's a senior too.
He is the oldest. Well, I think Wiggin is probably a little older.
Wiggin is Wiggin is the honorary member of the Corgi Committee, and Wiggin is in fact an Australian cattle dog or a blue heeler.
So honorary Corgi.
Honorary
member
Corgi.
of the Corgi Committee.
Yes.
Well, as we're talking about all this, we're coming upon the holidays.
We are.
We're going to have a lot of gathering, and
we will.
We know it's important to not have certain things around the table for the doggos. Thanksgiving passed recently. They're okay to have turkey, but you don't want to give them the skin because of the pancreatitis risk. You
don't want to give them the skin because that's the most delicious part. You eat it yourself.
That's for me.
Oh.
But I found a special guest that I'm very excited to come on. This is a very heartfelt episode, but it's very informational and very important. But we're going to bring on Bonnie Harlan with Prevent Pet Suffocation.
And it's not something, when you told me about our guest, it's not something I would think of. It is something we think of as parents, as, aunts and uncles, when we're babysitting to prevent child suffocation and to keep these things away from children. And what we forget is our pets, our corgis and other pets, that could include cats as well, are susceptible to the same things. They get into things just like a toddler gets into things.
Curiosity.
There's curiosity, and it makes perfect sense. So I'm excited to have her here.
Yeah, there should be some good information here. And as we have family members over, people can do things like leave the door open and one of our babies gets out. All kinds of things can happen, and it's well-meaning people just not used to being so.
Right.
Yeah, not used to paying as much attention. But pet suffocation is one of those, and things like food containers, if they're left out or left down where the dog can get them, or somewhere where they can fall and the pet can get them, it can cause problems. So I wanted to bring Bonnie on.
Let's go ahead and bring Bonnie on.
Let's bring her on. Bonnie, welcome. Thank you for your time today and joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Kat and Candy. It's great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for dealing with our patients with our hopping corgis.
Yes.
We've been known to lose camera, audio, lighting, things because of frapping, and corgis are short and the equipment isn't always. So sometimes we have a tower crash. Thank you for being patient. So I want to talk about your organization here, and I am going to put the website on the screen. For those listening, there's a website you can go to. It's www.preventpetsuffocation.com. There's also a Facebook page. If you're watching on YouTube, we have the banner on the screen, and we will also drop it in the description box.
Yes.
But if you are listening, it is preventpetsuffocation.com. So without further ado, let's talk about this subject. Bonnie, can you tell us about how this got started, how you got started, and sort of the evolvement, what happened, how you got started with this, and how it's changed?
Sure. So believe it or not, it's actually the 10-year anniversary of Prevent Pet Suffocation this December.
Oh, that's a milestone.
It is. It was a sad thing to happen, but to be able to do this for 10 years has been really an amazing journey. So unfortunately, it was a sad event that precipitated the founding of Prevent Pet Suffocation. And it did happen 10 years ago in December, when I left my house to go do some Christmas errands. And when I came back, I couldn't find my 50-pound rescue dog, Blue. He was 4 years old. And he, like most dogs, would meet you at the door, and he was not there, which was kind of puzzling. So I started looking around my house, and I noticed several things were, knocked over. There was a little paper bag of trash in the kitchen knocked over. Christmas decorations were also on the ground. And I thought, oh, well, he must be hiding because he knows he's in trouble. So I started looking under the beds. I looked in corners. I looked all over my house, upstairs, downstairs, back again. And finally, when I went back upstairs, I looked into the corner of my game room, and there he was under a table, not moving, motionless, with a Cheetos chip bag over his head.
Oh, no.
And in those few seconds of horror, I realized, oh, he is suffocated in this chip bag. So I ran over to him. I pulled the bag off. He was still warm, but, wasn't really breathing. I called my vet in a panic. He walked me through CPR. And, unfortunately, that did not work. And I was hysterical and crying. It was the worst scene I had ever come across. He had lost his bowels. He had knocked over lamps. It was a very, tough scene to have happen. So my vet actually came over, and in the midst of this, he rushed right over. And he said, Bonnie, I could have warned you about 100 things, but a chip bag would not have been one of them.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had never heard of this before, and that must mean, other people haven't heard about it before. And what my dog had done was, there was a paper bag in the kitchen, and a family member had put a chip bag in the bottom of it. And so he was nosing around, and he got this chip bag. And he died within probably 3 to 5 minutes. Oh, so I was so grief-stricken over this, and mad and shocked and everything else. So I decided, well, what can I do? I have to do something. So I decided to start this movement, called Prevent Pet Suffocation. And it started with a Facebook page, and then it has grown in over 10 years. Now we're a nonprofit, and we really have an international mission. And that mission really is pretty simple. It's to educate the public on the suffocation risk our pets face from chip bags and snack bags and pet food bags and cereal bags, plastic bags, and food containers. So you can prevent pet suffocation. Because the more people know, the more you can do to prevent it in your own home. So it's a simple mission, but a very important message. And now, really after 10 years, we've really been making great strides in getting the word out. But we still have a long way to go. There's still people that have never heard about it, right, unfortunately, until it happens to their pet.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is one of those things that you don't think about it until it's happened. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. But in memory of Sweet Blue, we are going to do our best to try to help you spread the word of this mission.
Absolutely. And, I just yesterday, and we apologize to our audience for the occasional crackle of my voice. Just yesterday, my Digby, who can drive a sane person crazy, was nosing around the bag that I had just emptied for the chicken feed. Yesterday was pick up the chicken feed day and open it up and put it in the container and all that stuff. And I put the bag down next to it. Now the chicken feed will not hurt him. And, it's all good stuff. But yeah, he's nosing around the bag, and I just didn't think twice about it except to get him out of there, because he would probably try to chew the bag, which is normally more of my concern. But that is a big bag. That is a 50-pound bag, and I have a 35-pound Corgi, he will very easily fit into that bag. Of course, picked it up, threw it away. All of that.
Digby's 35 pounds now.
Or 30 pounds.
Life is good for
Yeah.
Digby.
No, I think he's only 30 pounds. I'm a
Yeah.
bad mother. I'm sorry.
We give schnackos. Well, I'm glad that you, but that's kind of the point of this as well, is that attentiveness. And so, Kat, you're being attentive. This is something you think about. Okay, I need to keep that away from him. And most of us that have pets, I think, are kind of used to being mindful about keeping things up out of the way that could hurt our pets. If it's something like pesticide that we're using around our home or fertilizer or something like that, we know to use items, household chemicals out of the reach of our pets. Have everything dry before they can touch the ground. All these different things. But things like chip bags, and like you were explaining, somewhere where you don't think that it's going to cause harm, it's somewhere where they couldn't get to it. So let's talk about, I had a couple questions about how are the most common ways this happens and what types of packages. So I think chip bags are the ones I've heard of the most.
Right.
So I look at every food bag or container as a potential suffocation risk for my pet. It can be a chip bag, a cereal bag, pet food bag, cheese bag, snack bag, popcorn bag, pet food bag, pet treat bag. Anything that has food in it is going to attract your cat or dog, right?
Of course.
So the key is keep them safely out of the reach of your pets. So, Kat, when you said you threw the feed bag away, that's great. But there was one more step you could take, and that's to cut it up, because it's going to end up somewhere, and it could possibly, a stray dog or a stray cat or somebody like that could actually get into it in a landfill or something like that.
Oh, I didn't even think about the landfill, because I was about to say, here in Phoenix, we have these very, very strong
winds.
Well, no, the winds, but the garbage containers that we have are really strong. You can't, for the most part, knock them over. And you just brought up a point that I never even thought of. There are those cats, there are those dogs in the landfills that are,
scavenging.
Scavenging. And oh my gosh. So thank you for that. Never even thought of it.
And now you'll change the way you throw things away.
Absolutely.
I know I will, for sure.
Yes.
I'm a little bit psycho, as Kat knows. I'm every little thing I'm watching, where are the potential dangers, and always. But I mean, it happens to the best of us. Mine have eaten things that I've been concerned about before, and took a trip to the vet. Even the most fastidious, most attentive parents, it can happen to all of us. So
absolutely,
this is good information to have.
So what that is really vigilance, because though you might not know about pet suffocation now, and once you learn of it, there are lots of easy steps you can do to prevent it, right? And one of them is keeping the food bags safely stored away, but also cutting up, as I said, all the chip bags, the food bags, the plastic bags, the cheese bags. I do it even if I'm in a restaurant and I've been served, a potato chips in a bag, right?
Right.
In a diner or a cafe. I still cut it up. So you want to cut those up. You want to dispose of them properly. You want to keep your trash can safely secured, preferably behind a cabinet. You don't want to leave anything out on your counter, your coffee table, your bedside table, that kind of thing. These animals will get into it.
And things can fall too, as well, within their reach.
Right.
They absolutely can. And cats can jump really high. And even putting things on top of your refrigerator, I do not recommend.
No, my cat will jump from the floor to the counter opposite the refrigerator, and then up onto the refrigerator, and she'll just sit there. And sometimes I don't even notice that she is there.
Right.
So they can absolutely sit there.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing you can do is serve all your snacks in containers. In glass bowls or plastic containers, things like that. So when you're entertaining, or even if you're just having a snack on your couch or something like that, instead of taking the chip bag or the snack bag or the popcorn bag, to the coffee table and the couch, pour it in a Tupperware bowl or a glass bowl or something like that. That way you've protected your pet, because believe it or not, I've had people wake up from a nap, they've fallen asleep on the couch, and their dog got the bag off the coffee table, and their dog was gone when they woke up.
Oh my gosh, that is so horrible.
Well, that happened to a Corgi friend, a distant Corgi friend, that is part of our community, and they were camping, and they're used to taking the normal precautions for camping when traveling with their pet. And there was one of the folding camping chairs. They had been sitting out around a fire the night before. Everyone retired to the tents for the night. They woke up in the next day, couldn't find the Corgi. The Corgi had gotten the chip bag out of the chair, and they found him like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So these are just anywhere that access. I think the takeaway to your point, Bonnie, is that any access that they can have, try to secure or offer, try to change maybe the way you transport it, maybe something like a camping or road trip, put them in little containers with snap tops or something that's not a bag that could suffocate.
Right. So what I tell people, every time I leave my home, I look around my house. Okay. The kitchen, the bedroom, the den, etc. You always have to be vigilant. But I also tell people, when you are camping, hiking, at the beach, whatever, you have to do the same protocols, because you are, that Corgi suffocated, at the campsite, but there's also wildlife to consider as well.
Right.
Foxes, squirrels, birds. We've had kangaroos, wolves, coyotes, every type of animal that you can imagine. I've seen a picture of in a chip bag or a container, and they don't usually have anyone in the forest there to help them.
Right.
So people will say to me, well, why do I need to cut up my chip bags? I don't even own a dog or cat. And I said, well, because you want to protect all the other animals in the world, because we've all seen bags fly out of cars into your yard. Trash guy goes by, the bags fly out of the car, and they end up in somebody's yard or an alley or something like that. So we really want to ensure that all these animals are protected. It just takes a few steps, and those are some of the ones that I mentioned earlier.
And I was going to say, I think one more step, and it's kind of a be kind to the world step, is stop using the darn plastic bags at the grocery store and start bringing your own.
Yeah. I use paper because I use paper for everything, but that's kind of a dying thing too. Well, in some states, California, you can't eat. They have the restrictions on the plastic bags, which, they're bad for so many reasons. The plastic bags
Let me explain to you how the suffocation happens, because a lot of people don't know. So you have these chip bags, you have these snack bags. A lot of them are that shiny material, right? You've opened them up, it's kind of that silvery look. Well, that's a shiny mylar-like material. What it does is it keeps the snacks fresher. That's why companies like it. But it also creates a vacuum-like seal around the dog's neck. So when they put their head into the bag to get the crumbs, it creates a vacuum-like seal around their neck. And that seal is almost impossible to break. Okay. Even we've had adult men tell me I could not hardly get the bag off my dog's head. So that's kind of how this occurs. Well, if you imagine a dog with a bag over its head, they can't see at that point. They're blind, they're anxious, they can't see. And guess what? They can't breathe either. So what happened with my dog, he got the bag out of the kitchen, but he ended up upstairs in my game room, which just, I can't even handle it. Went upstairs, probably looking for me or something, knocked around some lamps and so forth before he finally collapsed. So that's the thing. These pets cannot get these bags off their head, and they don't have thumbs. So they don't have logic. So it's not like they can go, oh, I can't breathe, I'm going to pull this off. So that's kind of how it occurs, and it really happens fast. Within 3 to 5 minutes, you can lose your dog or cat.
Gosh, so awful. But I'm glad that you're doing this work. I'm not glad for how it happened, but I'm thankful that you're doing this work and educating us. Please tell us how we can help the organization. So, what can everyone do to spread the word? They can visit your Facebook page, join the Facebook page. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Prevent.
So we're on every type of social media. I have a major website. It's full of information. It's full of articles. It's full of all of our press, our video, our interviews, podcast, etc. I've got a blog on there as well. I have a page devoted strictly to a memory page of all the photos of many of the pets that we've lost, and that is chock full of information. In addition, you can join our Facebook page. I feature a lot of the pets that, die. I let the owner tell their story. And so it also offers really, really good emotional support for the grieving pet owners, as well as helping spread the word, because one of those posts can easily reach 100,000 people. So that's really been, a great way to help get the word out. We're also on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., and YouTube. So you can find us at any of those places. And if you have lost a dog or cat to suffocation, or you know someone who has, please reach out to us, because, I'd like to talk to you about it. I keep track of, every pet that we've lost. I document. In addition, on the website, I have a petition to Frito-Lay to add warning labels to their chip bags and snack bags. And I also have recently launched a survey on pet suffocation that I ask people to take, whether you've lost, a pet to suffocation or not. We're getting a lot of, great data on it, and I'll be able to release some more statistics after the first of the year on that.
Wow.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say one of the things that you did mention. One of the things that you did mention is that is the support that you offer for people who lost their pets. I can't imagine. I came home from vacation last year, and I lost my cat to absolutely nothing. He, our friend and vet took a look at him, and it was a heart attack. He was a sickly little boy, but I couldn't imagine, that I can't do anything about. Now you've lost your pet to suffocation, and without that support, you can beat yourself up something awful.
Yeah.
And
and that's what happens. They contact me, they feel guilty, they're in shock, they don't think anyone understands, they're, heartbroken. So what they find on our group are people that know exactly how they're feeling, because most of them have gone through it as well. We have a lot of loyal followers, even ones that, have not lost a pet, but just want to help spread the word. Now, what you can do as a pet owner at home as well, you do the safety tips I mentioned, but you also need to educate your family members, not just yourself. So your children, your spouse, your relatives, your in-laws, anyone that comes into contact with your pet, including pet sitters and babysitters and your vet and dog walkers, things like that, because they need to know too. Because if you have someone watching your dog for 3 days while you go out of town, but they don't know about pet suffocation risk, well, your dog is just as vulnerable within there.
Yeah.
So you need to tell them. And, we've had a lot of pets get these bags out of kids' backpacks, your guest suitcases. They come to visit and they've brought food. They forget about it.
That happened with one of my corgis. It wasn't a chip bag, but it was gum that had xylitol in it.
Oh my!
Thankfully, we caught it in time, knew what it was. We're able to treat it, and luckily, I knew that was a problem. But we had a relative visiting, and they had a computer bag with some gum in it, and yeah, that's how those things happen.
Exactly.
Right. So you really just have to take the time to do that. Now, we have some great infographics on our website, And you can print them off. You can share them with people. You can put them in the refrigerator. You can give it to your vet, your rescue group, etc. That really kind of sums up, the problem of pet suffocation, what you can do to prevent it. It's really just small steps that you can take to really save your pets. And I don't want anyone to have to go through what I've gone through, and I've documented thousands of dogs here already. And we don't want that to happen to anybody else. So
Yeah.
it's a tough thing, but the good news is it can be prevented.
Well, that is so deeply traumatic. And again, I'm so sorry. I mean, my heart was right there with you as you're telling me
Yes.
this story, and our tears are welling up. And goodness gracious, my heart goes out to you. But thank you for giving this information, because this can save lives if we know that. So, listener, viewer, please go to www.preventpetsuffocation.com. Check out the YouTube page, the Facebook page, the Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the interneticals. And please see how you can print off these infographics, spread them around, tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone visiting. That's one of the things we can do. And then also cut up these bags when you throw them away, as Bonnie's telling us. And when you have snacks at home, pour them in something that's open top or something that wouldn't cause this problem. I think I've got the major points that are the most important. Is that correct, Bonnie?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that we've met you, and thank you so much for coming onto our program here and telling us about this.
No, thank
appreciate
you. Anytime, and I really appreciate it, because we love to get the word out.
Absolutely. Well, you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise and sharing your story.
I thank you too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. Are you super moved right now?
I am paranoid and super moved, and
You see why I stay paranoid.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
There's a middle ground.
I don't know the middle ground.
You don't know the middle ground,
No.
but it's ridiculous how smart they are.
Yeah.
Digby, when it was just Digby and the cats, and the cat, he figured out how to push the chair out from the table and climb up onto the kitchen table to eat the cat food when I would put the cat food up and away.
Digby.
And with Wiggin there, they have created a system of sorts. And the famous story is, and we're very, very careful about what we leave, but who the heck would have thought that they wanted to eat tomatoes and jalapenos?
Oh no.
They went up on the table and knocked down for each other.
They got on the table? So naughty.
They knocked down and ate the tomatoes and the jalapenos. We walked in to find both dogs looking up at us with a jalapeno in their mouth.
Oh, goodness
and they
gracious.
didn't seem to be bothered by
Oh
it.
my goodness gracious. Well, but to that point, that's one of those
Yeah.
stories that even if you would think that's not something that they would get into, you're fastidious, you're paying attention, these things can happen. And we don't want to alarm anyone or stress them out and say, oh gosh, I got to worry about that too. Just follow these tips. Go to preventpetsuffocation.com, follow their Facebook page, see the information there on what you can do to not only spread the word, but educate your family, educate your friends, educate your veterinarian probably knows about it, has probably unfortunately been privy to it. But as much as we can tell everyone about this and how to prevent this, we're going to save some pet lives.
Absolutely. Now that you know better, please do better. I know I will.
We're going to do the best we can for sure.
Absolutely.
We're going to be cutting up some bags, but should we leave our audience with that tonight?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Please go to preventpetsuffocation.com. Please educate yourself. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll connect you with Bonnie if you have more questions or stuff that we can't answer for you. But we like to be here for you every Thursday for Pet Lifestyle, all things Corgi and honorary Corgi for our furry friends and their paw rents in this world. the paw rents come second, right? We put our pets
Absolutely.
first.
That's first.
So, but we thank you so much for following us. Please subscribe to our YouTube, follow our TikTok, follow our Instagram, follow our Facebook. Please stay with us. We need you so that we can spread important words like these. And tonight we're going to sign off. Candy, Kat.
Good evening and have a wonderful holiday season.
Yes, from all of us here at the Corgi Committee. Good night.
Good night.